Hello, everybody. It's me, Faith. So today I wanted to talk about Ukukhafula and Ukuchila. Some people call it Ukukwifa. I've also heard some people use the term Ukuncinda. However, Ukuncinda and Ukukhafula are two different things. I wanted to do a series on the different ways of administering or applying traditional medicines. There are different ways that traditional medicines can be administered or applied. The different ways of or methods of administration or application depend on three things. First, the type of medicine that is used. Second, the type of sickness that is being cured. And third, the efficacy or the most effective means of administration. So firstly, the type of medicine. So there are different types of medicines or there are different categories of medicines in traditional medicine. In general, you have intsizi, ubulawo, and intelezi. These three categories of medicines are used to remove sickness from the body, to help the body recover from sickness, and to protect the body against future sicknesses. So the second one is the type of sickness. Traditional medicine recognizes two categories of sickness. There is umkhuhlane and ukufa kwabantu. Umkhuhlane refers to sickness that you acquire from either negligence or accidents. So an example is when you neglect your body by not eating healthy or exercising. When you do that, you tend to acquire certain sicknesses. Ukufa kwabantu is sickness that you inherit from your parents, from ancestors, lineage, or through witchcraft. You can also attract ukufa kwabantu when you neglect your spiritual health. So in general, a person is a spirit living in a body with a soul. So whenever you neglect either your body, your spirit, or your soul, you'll tend to attract certain sicknesses. And depending on which part of your being you neglect, you'll either attract ukufa kwabantu or umkhuhlane. The third one is efficacy. So by efficacy, I mean the most effective means of administration. The same medicine can be applied in different ways to treat either the same or different conditions and ailments. For example, the roots of a particular tree can be boiled to make a decoction that is administered as enema to treat abdominal pain. The same root decoction can be administered as bath water to treat a skin-related infection. The same root decoction can be administered as steam to treat a respiratory condition. The same root decoction can be administered as an emetic to induce emesis in order to treat chest pains. The same root decoction can be taken as a tonic to boost immunity. The same root decoction can also be taken as a fomenting agent to soak your painful feet in order to reduce inflammation. The same root decoction can be sprinkled in and around the homestead to ward off impurities. So this is an example. How a tree is used is determined mostly by the pharmacological properties of the tree. You can use the same tree for so many different purposes if it has a lot of pharmacological properties. Okay, so if it has antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-cancer, anti-ulcer, all of those hematoprotective, immunomodulatory properties. If it has a lot of properties, you can use it for a lot of different things. But this is just an example of how the same tree can be used for different things. But whenever you treat a sickness, you look for the most effective means. Okay. So the reason why you have umbemiso is because if you sniff something, it's assumed that it's just gonna go straight up into your head, but it has to go through the bloodstream first. So it's closer to the head, so it's more effective. Same thing with ukapa. So whenever you put something in directly in the bloodstream, which is what ukapa does, it's assumed that it's gonna reach the place where it's supposed to go much quicker than if you take it as a decoction, because it still has to go through your stomach and then through the bloodstream and all of that. So efficacy means which method of application is the most effective at treating whatever disease you want to treat. Okay, just to emphasize again, the method used to administer traditional medicine depends on three things: the type of medicine, and you have three types of medicines, the type of sickness, the two categories of sicknesses, and the efficacy, which is the most effective means of administration. So remember, the same medicine can be applied in so many different ways, but you look for the most effective means, meaning how quick can this medicine get to the targeted place. That's why sometimes whenever you have abdominal pain, they tend to use enema, because administering through the bum means it will get quicker to the stomach than if you administer through the mouth, because the distance is further. Same with headache, like I said, it's easier to sniff than to drink something because it still has to go through the stomach. So I'll do separate videos looking at the various methods, because there are a lot of methods. You have ukukapa, you have ukukota, you have ukufuta, ukutoba, ubeta, uchopa, and all of that. I'll do separate videos looking at the different administration methods. But in this video, I'll discuss ukukhafula or ukuchila. So what is ukukhafula? The term ukapula is derived from the Zulu verb kafula. Kafula has several meanings in the Zulu language. So, for example, the word kafir is a highly offensive racial slur that is used in South Africa to describe black people. Funny enough, the term was derived from an Islamic or Arabic term. So in Islam, kafir means, I think they say kafir. Kafir means an unbeliever or an infidel in the Islamic religion. So black people pronounce kafir as kafula. So they would refer to a kafir as kafula or kafirs as makaful. The second meaning is the most correct meaning, which is to spit something out. So spitting something out. And this is the meaning that is also used in traditional medicine. So in traditional medicine, ukapula means the ritual or ceremonial spitting of medicines. The term ritual is important because you are not just doing the act of spitting, but the spitting is done with intention in a ceremonial manner, which might involve things like incantations or speaking of specific words or chanting or singing or dancing specific moves or praying specific prayers. So it's not just spitting out medicine, but it's a ritualistic spitting of medicine. So, how is it done? The act of spitting generally involves taking medicine, for example, a piece of bark or a piece of root or leaves or animal parts or minerals or a combination of these, and putting it in your mouth, chewing it, and then spitting it out. The act is usually accompanied by some form of ceremonial ritual. So you can meditate on certain words or thoughts or sayings, or you can say a certain prayer. You can do incantation, invocations, or you can sing, or you can gyrate. So why is it done? So the ceremonial or ritual aspect of ukapula depends on what the spitting is for. So typically, ukapula or the spitting is done for one, to remove sickness. So this is to cure or to remove the evidence of a sickness in the body. For example, kafula is used as a therapeutic treatment for things like epilepsy or convulsions. You know, a lot of African medicines for epilepsy is applied using ukukafula. Same thing with stroke. I've noticed that kafula is also used for stroke. The second reason for using ukafula is to ward off impurities or unclean spirits. So I remember growing up that whenever there was like a storm coming, my grandfather would chew a piece of bark or something and then go outside and then spit it out in the air and then like use a spear to like make stabbing movements in the air. I'm assuming this was to ward off lightning. So in the olden days, ukafula was also used by warriors who would go to war, and they would use the spitting or kafula as a charm to deflect spears and arrows during a war. Nowadays, you have soldiers who use ukafula as a charm to ward off bullets during war. Another reason, or the last reason for using ukafula, is to cause sickness. So this is a form of witchcraft, obviously. For example, iziphonso is usually administered using ukafula. Iziphonso is what you call projections. These are bewitchments or witchcraft that are administered at a distance. Things like love spells are usually administered using iziphonso. When ukapula is done for the purpose of witchcraft, it is no longer called ukukhafula, but it is called ukuchila. Ukapula is what you use to make someone well or to heal someone. Ukuchila is what you use to make someone sick. So I did a video in the past called Indabula Luvalo, which is Kalanko paniculata. And in the video, I mentioned that there are 3 different types of anxieties. So the plant is used to treat anxiety. And there are 3 types of anxieties. You have inyoni, which is anxiety that affects small children. You have uvalo lwesilwane, which is anxiety that you get from sorcery. And you have uvalo lwedlozi, which is a miasm or a type of anxiety that you get when you have a call on your life. So uvalo lwesilwane is acquired or caused by iziphonzo, which are projections, like I said, and these are bewitchments that are administered at a distance. So in this case, the person will chew iziphonzo and then spit them out in the air and say the person's name repeatedly. And that person that they're saying the name, they will get anxiety. So to cure uvalo lwesilwane, one of the things that the person will need to do is ukafula as well. But you also need to do other things like scarification or kuchaba to immunize the body. You might also need to do immerses to get the stuff out of your body. It will depend on who you go to get this thing out. That was a video that I did. You can just go and have a listen to that video if you're interested in learning about that. So there are different types of medicines that are used for ukukhafula. Some are gender specific. For example, isikhafulo samabhungu is made from a plant that's scientifically known as Helinus integrifolis or the soap creeper. And this type of scapulo is used by unmarried men, amabhungu. And you also have umemezi, which is scientifically known as Cassiporia planiganii, and it is used by men for ukafula. Obviously, not all plants are gender specific. Like I said, some are, some are not. Some are used to treat different types of diseases. Like I said earlier, you can use ukafula to treat epilepsy. Maybe in the blog, I'll also mention other types of plants, but this is where I'll end the video for now. Thank you so much for listening. Have a blessed day. Bye.